I'm Jade McNeil and welcome to the B Space podcast, your bi-weekly dose of business and property realness. No hype, no fluff, and definitely no BS. Just honest conversations about what it really takes to build something from nothing. Bloody hell, guys. I'm not sure how it's happened, but the B Space podcast is officially 1 year old. It's pretty mental, in all honesty, not because it feels like I've blinked and that time's flown by, but also, this was an idea of mine that I had in the back of my head for some years prior to actually starting it. But it was a case of, okay, why do I want to do it? When's the right time? How do I do it? What's the purpose? What's the intention? So actually, on reflection, we've set this podcast up, we've spoke to lots of people, we've had some really, really great conversations. And this whole ethos of this podcast is about me sharing with my listeners, how do you build a property business, a business from scratch? What does it take? So I feel really positive that, we've achieved that over the past year. And I thank you for listening and thank you for being part of what I've created. Obviously, I couldn't, let us jump into the celebratory birthday episodes without, first of all, giving a big shout out to the team, my wonderful team that have helped me create this podcast and get it out to you guys. So thank you, Brogan, my podcast editor, who is so efficient and so quick and always does an amazing job with every single episode. Of course, to my right-hand woman, the lovely Hannah, who looks after all of my marketing and content. And in all honesty, just keeps me in line with everything and what we're working on and why we're working on it. And then to my wonderful PA, Andrea, who's just come back off mat leave. And what Andrea does for us with the podcast is all the back end stuff, kind of the uploading, the show notes and so on and so on. So thank you guys. Without you, this podcast really would not happen. It's never just one person that creates something. It takes a whole team to actually execute. So let's jump into the first of the celebratory birthday episodes. You're going to love this one. I'm talking to a very well-known furniture king. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of the B Space podcast. So, B Space podcast is officially 1 year old. It is the birthday. Yay. I can't believe how fast that time has gone. That year has flown by. So naturally, for me to celebrate, the birthday episodes, I've got 2 birthday episodes coming out in April. For me to celebrate, I kind of spent some time and I was thinking, right, who do I want to have a conversation with that feels right to celebrate my first birthday? And of course, there was only one guy that sprang to mind for the first episode. So I would like to welcome onto the podcast Dale Wild, who is the owner of Landlord Furniture Co. Hello, Dale.
Hello. I'm actually quite shocked you had to think.
Yeah, as in, I should have been of course she was at the top of the list. Yeah. Now, just to put a little bit of context into why Dale is such a special guest to me is obviously the podcast is one, and all that time I've been, you've been the sponsor with Landlord Furniture Co. of the podcast. So I'm so grateful that, you and Lisa have been my sponsors all the way through. So I thought it's only right that we finally get you on the pod, because I know you're a very, very busy person, and have a chat and talk about your business, about you and what's been going on. So Dale, before we jump into Landlord Furniture Co. and kind of, how much of a machine you've created over the years, set the scene for the listeners and just tell me a little bit about you and your background and how you started a business, because this podcast is all about how you start something from scratch, right? What does it really take? And you are one of the best examples of starting something out of nothing. So take me back. Tell me about you. Where did it start?
Okay. So left school at 16, like we did back in 1998. Mm-hmm. Joined the military. Was in the parachute regiment for 10 years. Kind of got not sort of disgruntled, but we was always away, did all the usual tours that was going on at the time. So yeah, handed me notice in, left with no real plan. I'll be honest, I was going to be a plasterer. And then as I was leaving, my CO and my final interview sort of explained that we was in the middle of a recession. It was 2008. Clearly being a squad, I didn't know what a recession was. So yeah, just left anyway, did my own thing, did security work for a short period of time. Had no direction, literally no direction whatsoever. So I started driving trucks. And And then I just got speaking to a mate, and he used to manufacture sofas, but I was sending people to him to buy these sofas off him, and he said, "I've got no business thing. All my work is coming through you." So he said, "Do you want to come on board? Should we do something together?" So we started in some old stables that me and my mum owned, or still do. So yeah, just manufacturing sofas in this rickety shed. And I started selling to landlords, just local landlords that I knew. Simultaneously to that, started going to property events. Got a bit of a bug to try and make some more money, but only had a small pot really. And it was back in the day when you could still do same day refinance with mortgage works, and so people got touting doing different deals. So I managed to buy a couple of buy to lets, and then the second buy to let we bought, me and my cousin then turned that into a HMO, which was back in 2010. Yeah, 2010. Still own it. And so we was doing these sofas. I was trying to get into trying to do everything really, but working sort of 7 days a week, as well as keep driving a truck to keep the money coming in. And then we moved into bigger premises when we manufactured sofas. We're selling to the public. It was going quite well, but more and more landlords were coming in. So I'd just done the HMO. I actually bought the furniture off who is now one of our competitors, apart from the sofas. And more landlords, as we're selling these sort of just like the cheap leather, they were called sofa in a box at the time. It was decent quality, but it's not sort of thing that you'd put in a HMO now. I suppose it's like the black leatherette rubbish looking things. And he just sort of said, "No, why don't you start doing furniture?" So I looked into it more and more. I started to buy some furniture in from a local company here in Oldham, and reselling that, delivering. We already advanced delivering the sofas, and as time went on, the partnership with my business partner with the sofa started to fray a little bit. He had family issues with his brother who worked for us. He then burnt us down with a big arson attack.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you Google it's Oldham Sofa Company. You see my face like that in the paper. But if it's 10
sad face.
10 years ago in June this year, actually. So we went through all that. We wasn't insured. Proper school board business running errors. So we, as that happened, we actually got offered a landlord for me. So I've got a unit here. I've seen you in the paper. It might suit you. It's an absolute dog hole part of Oldham, but it gave us that step up. So we didn't have to find a big deposit, and we just had to go and buy some more machines. And in that transition, in that sort of 3 or 4 weeks of like quite a tough time, my business partner have a great deal of money, so I'm funding the move. I'm funding, and my pot's just going into the red. More and more landlords just kept coming. "Oh, you've sold furniture to such a body, you've sold furniture. Have you got any more than wardrobes?" So it just kind of started to really tickle along, and it was at that time when I said, "Actually, I'm not doing these sofas anymore. I'll make them for Landlord Furniture." And me and Luke, use the term loosely, business partner, we just went our separate ways because I couldn't keep funding a side of the business where it wasn't making a great deal of money. So we just concentrated on the right side. So yeah, we operated out of there for about 2 years. Then we moved again to bigger premises as the business grew. By that stage, we started to manufacture everything in house apart from the beds. Then we moved again to where you've been, where the showroom is, because we needed more space. And at that point, we sort of went and sat down with manufacturers and basically sort of said, you manufacture for us, uniquely for us, no one else, and we'll keep you going. So that's what we did. We changed product about 2 years into the whole process into what we've got today, like a tried and tested more commercial spec. Because there's just no one doing the commercial spec things that we do. Even now there isn't. They said they are, but they're not. So we've just grown organically, really. Word of mouth went from me. You've met Lynch, haven't you, Dave? He's been with me from day one. Still here now. Can't get rid of him. And we've got 20 odd people. Vans all over the country every day. So it's been tough. It has been tough, but the last sort of 3 or 4 years, sort of, yeah, it was, it was worth going through that crap.
I think I think I've known of you. I think I've worked with you guys since 2007, 16 or 17, so quite a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So rewind a little bit for me then. So from the point of coming out of the military to the fire, no, yeah, to the fire. How long was that? Was that about a 10-year period?
No, 6 years. 6 years.
Okay, and then from the fire to you and your business partner kind of parting ways, how long was that period?
About 6 months.
Okay,
Yeah.
so would you be fair to say that kind of like for the first 6 to 7 years was really kind of like muddling through, finding the way, kind of not being super intentional, just kind of seeing what comes.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think I had the comfort of the work, but people get fixated, don't they, on like a 5 a.m. club and all this
Mm,
nonsense. I'm just get up and get it done. And I knew I
mm,
needed to pay my mortgage where I lived. I knew I needed to pay my bills. I knew the van needed diesel. So that's why I carried on like truck driving essentially. I'd just go in
yeah,
at 3 o'clock in the morning, finish at lunchtime. I actually worked for Warburton's Bakery. It was a good little job actually.
we've got this in
Um,
Nottingham as well, isn't it? That's right near
yeah,
me.
yeah, one of the depots probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it smells great.
I could literally walk out my house. It was there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so and I'm forever thankful that they gave me a chance really because it was like a dead man's shoes type of job at the time.
Mm,
I just walked in. I said, "This is what I've done. Just left the military. And I need a job. Have you got anything?" And I was fortunate. The transport manager was stood in the reception when I walked in, and he's like, "Actually, we do. Come with me." And that's how it started. So yeah, but then I'd be finished for sort of 11, 12 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd sort of work on me, as the cliche is, um, and the business. So yeah, it was a struggle, but I knew it was going to go somewhere.
mm,
And I think the hardest thing is like I didn't really get any support. I wasn't with Lisa then in the early days anyway. Um, but no, regards like there's couldn't really take any business advice or family
mhm.
and if it was advice, it was just a bit like, all right, got a cup of tea.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, nowhere to really turn. And I think the more you expand your circle, like going to networking events and speaking to these landlords that own business as well as investing in property, you kind of just learn along the way. And
Mm.
I've always had that attitude, sort of like, fuck it, if you can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, I love
And
that. Yeah.
it's, I mean, I suppose to make it sound a bit easier now, if sort of almost there, if you like, but it is what it is, isn't it? It's yeah, there were. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the process, and I wouldn't change it again. Um, but I think we had to learn some hard lessons. And to
Yeah.
be fair, I stand by the arson attack. If you like, it was me then business partner's brother. They had a massive argument, and he was just a weirdo. And he went,
Mm.
yeah, and obviously he got prison time for it. But it's for me, it was a bit of a turning point. It was a realization of what I was surrounding myself with,
Mm.
and it was everything was on me to do things. As much everyone was working and working hard, it was just well, there weren't still any results as a group. So we just kind of switched fire, and I'd
Mm.
seen an opportunity really.
I think it's always like it's the stuff you don't see, isn't it? Like we can look at you guys now, what you're doing. It's like, God, they're so successful. They've dominated the market. They've nailed it. But actually, what came before that? What came before that? And there's things like the fire and you having to then navigate it happening, what happens after, the decisions you make, the conversations you make. That's really hard on a personal level, on a business level. Like that's the stuff that makes you or breaks you, doesn't it?
Oh
Like
yeah,
in
yeah,
those
yeah, of course,
moments,
yeah.
that defines you as a business owner, or you've got to. Well, I don't know. It sounds a bit cliche, but stuff like that does make you stronger.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah, yeah, 100% it does. And I
Mm,
think when you're sat in that position, my because I just stopped doing the driving then, and
mm,
I met at one of the property events, Peter, who I've got a couple of properties with. Um, we started doing stuff together. So we did have a lot going on, but when a lot's going on, you don't have any money coming in, do you? So I was I was still
Still the same,
driving.
right?
Yeah, still driving. That's what happens when you buy a farm, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, and you look back and as I've got a bit older, I'm a bit like I'd still do it again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but you can just there was a lot of lessons learned, and you can choose what you do and not just do things for the sake of doing it.
yeah.
Because I know, like the day after the fire, he actually did it twice, but that's a long story. It did a bin fire and then came back and did it proper. Um, So the fire brigade turn up and they're like, what's your business contingency? I'm like, one of them. And they were going through it, and like this bloody idiot is like, well, you should have a contingency. You know, if things like this happen, you know, are there any units for rent close by? I'm like, you plan for someone to burn you down. So I just sort of walked away from him, and then the main fire officer came around the day after just to make sure everything was safe. And he sort of sat me down and, you know, obviously I've seen this before. This is what happens. This is what you could do with doing, and it was nice. And he was probably the only person that gave me any information to sort of help. And obviously, then literally an hour later, the other landlord phoned up. I've seen you in the paper. But the staff at the time, like Lynch and all that, they were just turned up in the morning as normal. The upholsterers were just like, shit, I need to find another job, and sort of just scurried away from the car park. And he just laughed. He went, looks like we're going screw fix for some gloves. And and there's nothing left of the building. Absolutely nothing left of it, honestly.
Love that. I can just imagine him saying that as well.
Yeah, no, I need some. He said, we need some gloves, don't we, love? I was like, yeah. And then we literally got in the car. The brigade was still there. We drove up to the unit in Oldham and met the landlord there. There were loads of cars in the unit. And he said, I've got loads of power. It's got a bit of a leak. These are going tomorrow and I need to rent it. And I was like, right. So he gave us a price, just shook his hand there and then.
Yeah.
And he says, meet me in the morning. So it was, you know, things are meant to happen, aren't they? But
it's the universe. Definitely that was.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer if you do right by people, it eventually comes round. And that was one of the moments where it worked out all right for us. Yeah.
Would you say then? So obviously, just kind of thinking about what you touched on there with like family and kind of like, you know, not having that support network initially in the early stages of like people to talk to that could understand and advise. Would you say you're a natural entrepreneur?
I wouldn't even know how to describe what a natural entrepreneur is. I don't think I'm not one of them that's lucky enough so everything I touch turns to gold. I definitely ain't one of them. You know?
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but I think person. I just say it as it is, and if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And I do things, particularly in this space, particularly in a lot of property spaces. It's not me. My personal experience is not. Most people aren't exactly true to what they say they're going to do.
Smoke and mirrors.
And you know what? With the furniture business, we make mistakes. You know, there's might miss some handles or like damage something from time to time. Like yesterday, one of the lads dropped a bedside off the back of the van.
Lovely.
And obviously, we just. And
Surely it bounced though because your stuff's so durable.
But no, his head did after because it was down in Plymouth.
Oh no! You know, why not Manchester?
No. If there's anything wrong, nothing happens in Manchester. Really, it doesn't. And it's a rare thing, and it's a tiny. It seems like a tiny thing, but you know the client had pictures. She's fine about it. She's just like, yeah, no worries. So we said, we'll just move them around the room and we'll get one. And we have a carrier that does bits of work for us. It's bloody expensive. But like by 6 o'clock last night, he's picked it up and he's on his merry. He was going down anyway tomorrow, so it'll be there tomorrow. Whereas when we speak to clients who perhaps use not so much competitors, but just maybe a shop that sells general furniture, we've had a night. We've been waiting 3 weeks for a mattress, and we've been waiting a month for a headboard, and we always just say, you know, no one's perfect. No one is. If you say you're just a blatant liar, but you know, our what we call on time targets is like 94% or something, which for how many moving parts we've got is just it's really good, and I'm proud of the team for doing it. Don't know, there's been a lot of bollockings along the way. Why is that not done? And you know, mistakes do happen. I loaded a van last week. I'm caught out, and I forgot to put a mattress on. But it is what it is. But to be at such a high percentage of getting it right, and I do think that's me and Lisa sort of like you know, we do what we say we're going to do. Yeah. We don't say we're going to do it, then not do it. And I think that's where the word of mouth comes from as well. It's not just the quality of the product and the choice and a lot of people go on sustainability now. Yeah. So everything else is made in the UK. So I don't think you can get much more sustainable than that. So I think that's answered your question, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's interesting because I think someone would look at you and think that everything you do touch turns to gold.
No, definitely not. I'm married. So, yeah, I mean, we've done well, and it's probably in the last 4 years-ish where you've actually thought, you know what, we've got something really good here.
Yeah.
We've got some really good staff. We've got some skilled people, and passionate people as well. And we try. Well, you've been here, haven't you? We try and do everything quite loosely and fluidly, and have a laugh. You've obviously seen the guys on your own sites many times.
Yeah.
Trying to make us as fun as it can carrying wardrobes upstairs.
Yeah.
But we don't put pressure on them, and we've got some really good guys, and I think that again is what makes customers come back and
100%.
tell people at property events and their mates. And we've had landlords have like 10-bed HMOs and then rung us up. Look, I've been looking in your showroom, the Matterport we have. I want that bed, I want that. Well, where's this going? Going to my own house, is that right? So it's because we do everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really nice, and we have clients that even ask for particular delivery teams now.
Really? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had hundreds and hundreds of products from you guys over the years. I think there's only one occasion that springs to mind where something was slightly wrong, and Lisa's response to it was hilarious when I was like, I think this cushion might be a bit small. And it was sorted within like literally 24 hours. But I'd also cocked up the order, as I probably do on every order day. I'll always miss something off, or I've measured something incorrectly, or something's changed, and now I've got a nib wall from a pipe that wasn't there before, but now is there thanks to the joiners. It's like, can you just send me this? And like every time, you don't miss a beat. Every time it just gets sorted. And I've got such comfort in knowing that it's just going to get sorted. And that's just so valuable when you've got a lot going on. So, I mean, and the culture as well, like you mentioned about the culture in Landlord Furniture Co. Like I can 100% vouch for that. Even when you get your phone call when the stuff's about to be delivered, even the person on the phone, usually I do get Dave, but even when I don't get Dave, it's like I've got one of Dave's minions and they're just as happy and as everyone speaks the same, and there's that real natural energy there. You can't but you need to bottle that because it's just so special and it's so authentic. And I think that is one of your biggest selling points in the business, without a shadow of a doubt. I think I might have been to the original, post fire showroom. I use it loosely. I think I went to that one, your original one in Oldham, and obviously I've also been to your big fancy one that you sat in today, which is like unbelievable what you've got. But right at the start, I'm really interested because it's always interesting to know, how does a business with a product discover their niche? Okay, and for you, it sounded like it was really organic, where you're selling out the standard black sofas, and then a landlord comes in, and then another landlord comes in. Like, when did you really kind of knuckle down and think, this is the niche that I'm going to forget the rest of the noise and I'm going to focus on landlords? What was that point?
Landlords need furniture. Obviously, HMO students, when they get to the end of a build, they need it regardless. Whereas when we was dealing with Joe Public, it's a choice, isn't it? So I fancy a new sofa. Well, if you're a landlord, you need a new sofa. You need a new sofa. And I think sort of maybe 2017, 18 time, when just as we were getting our foot in the door, and we might have been doing 5 deliveries, 6 deliveries a week, we was then starting to look at what our competitors were doing, and it was very beige. And I'd just done a HMO in Failsworth, and we went a bit funky on it, just because we was manufacturing the furniture. So we'll do that, we'll do that, that'll look nice. And the pictures look good. And then we go on to spare room like you do, see what competitors, and we just started to look nationwide, and there was quite a few landlords. Like 80% of them were just like a metal bed with magnolia walls, you could get away with. And then there was more, a few more design led sort of, and I use that term very loosely compared to what people do now. Just looking nicer. And so we picked a few colours, when we just sort of, you're looking at them online, and we started looking at trending colours on Google. We sat down with the manufacturers and I said, what boards can you give me at this price point? Because landlords have a budget. This was a time when obviously they're a lot more expensive now because everything's gone up. But they basically, you can have, I think, like a book of maybe 50 board swatches. There's loads behind, like massive boards. And we can have any of them colours. So we just said, right, we'll launch 15 of them. And we just mixed and matched. If you go far enough back on social media, seeing our old unit with me jumping on top of them to show you how strong they are.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that place.
Yeah. That was like 2017.
Yeah, I've been there from the start. I have from when this all really began.
But and to be fair, half of them sets went into one of my HMOs, and they're still there now. And yeah, so I think we just sort of said, right, so let's do something a bit different. And none of our visible competitors or people who were offering HMO furniture were doing anything more than just 2 or 3 colours on a sofa. Well, we could do whatever colour you wanted, any size you wanted, because we still had the infrastructure. We could then all of a sudden offer these different coloured boards that were made commercially. There were solid backs, reinforced casters, reinforced draw runners. So we just run with it, and then it just exploded because we were giving people more choice.
Yeah.
And then, like a month after, someone came in and said, "Can you do a bespoke wardrobe?" So I was like, "Yeah, I think so." So, what size do you want? So then, that's how the bespoke element started. And because we control the whole process, as much as it's outsourced now, they're not allowed to sell it to anyone else. And if they did, we'd just set up on our own anyway. So it's one thing we've got to a stage now. We've got that big. We've got probably our 3 main suppliers are solely reliant on us. Because they've had to employ people, put vans on the road, move to bigger premises, and it doesn't really sit well with me. That because if January, February goes a little bit quieter, and you get to end of January and they're ringing up, what's happening to you? Volumes have gone down. We've got loads of stock. We need to do this, and you almost feel obliged to send us 50 sets of that just to. But I think because we've grown, it's been great to see them grow as well.
Yeah, definitely.
We're even at the stage now where like all the board suppliers, the main reps, even though we don't manufacture personally in the factory anymore, not on the wardrobes, they're always coming and seeing our ops manager Dave and telling us new colours that are coming out next year. Do you want to get the ordering on these and that? And it's nice to get that, because I don't think if we weren't if we were any smaller, they'd just be a bit, it's just another furniture company. And we've got to a stage now where we pretty much control every apart from dining chairs, we control the whole process, so we can make sure it's right on site, make sure it's right when it comes here, and we can put that warranty to it. It's not been easy, but yeah, we're in a good place.
What's the warranty?
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years and everything. And I think I'll tell you what warranty claims are.
I think that's your number. Well, I don't know if I like the numbers, but I think it's important. But for me, the warranty side makes me feel really comfortable, because particularly in the HMOs and serviced accommodation, things do get used a lot. And I like their peace of mind. This episode of the B-Space podcast is kindly sponsored by the wonderful people at Landlord Furniture Co. Specialising in a huge range of high-quality bespoke furniture, Landlord Furniture Co. provides durable pieces designed to last in your rental properties. If you're searching for the perfect furniture to attract professional HMO tenants, or need more resilient pieces for your student accommodations, considering cost-effective furniture packs for a larger property, or looking for something more personalised to elevate your serviced accommodation brand, whatever your need, Landlord Furniture Co. will craft a solution for you. You can say goodbye to rubbish old flat packs and start investing in a luxurious experience for your tenants. Backed by a 3-year warranty and exceptional customer service, they really are the smart choice for any landlord or property developer out there who takes their properties, their tenants and their business seriously. So ready to transform your spaces with Landlord Furniture Co. and ensure that your investments stand out in the market? Visit Landlord Furniture Co. today at www.landlordfurnitureco.co.uk, or you can head to their showroom, which is in Oldham, or find them over on Instagram at Landlord Furniture Co. Now, let's get back to the episode. The other thing that's really worked for me over the years, again, mostly in the HMOs, is just a comment there you mentioned about making them from scratch and controlling the process. Obviously, particularly in communal spaces, we're asking a lot of space, aren't we? We're asking for a lot of function, a lot of people doing a lot of things all at the same time. And, the spaces that we've got to put sofas in, and built-in seating or whatever it is can often be quite tricky. So for me to go to, a mainstream supplier and try and make it fit, it's not going to give me that function and that design finish that I really want to really utilize space. But like with you guys, I'm like, right, okay, this is the sizes. What can we create to put in here with these legs? This material, and I've got something completely bespoke and interesting. It's like it's a complete no-brainer that, particularly for me doing the HMOs, that works really well. Where would you say then over the years you've seen like the biggest kind of growth come from? Is it social media? Is it referrals? Is it events? Because I know you do quite a bit of everything now, don't you, across the board?
Yeah. So, being totally honest, 90% of our business comes from word of mouth.
Okay. That's really, really good. It's really impressive, actually.
Yeah, funny enough, my cousin's just started to build a new web. We've got, the sister company, we've got Wild Interiors, which does all the fancy stuff. So he's coming, he's built a website for that. That's his background. And he was sat there. He said we had a meeting the other week, and he said we were absolutely dumbfounded by your turnover, and that we said obviously we talked about your budgets on advertising and events over the years, and he said you've spent tiny amounts. And I think it just goes back to doing what you say you're going to do, what I said before. But so year before last, we said, right, let's really concentrate on social media. Let's bring a third-party company in.
Yeah.
And you know how much them buggers charge. Jesus Christ. And it just got, there was like putting ads on the page of, what does the best one they did is, what's everyone doing this bank holiday Monday? We're even bank holiday. And I rung the girl. And
oh dear.
I rung her and I said, you need to take that down, because I couldn't get on to the phone. And she went, oh, I'm ever so sorry. I said, well, you shouldn't be sorry. You're getting paid $5-6 grand a month here. That's not, sorry ain't good enough. So she was a bit took back that I had that stance. And we used to go for a meeting every 2 months, me, Lisa and Gemma. We go for a meeting up at there. It's only around the corner. And people used to sing the praises about them. And you'd go, and the girl would just sort of get a laptop out and she'd go, right, where are we? And you literally knew she didn't even know who we were. No. And
oh my God. That's like the opposite to what you guys do, isn't it? And who you are, what you stand for.
And so we came to the end of the contract, and I was in a position where I could just give it her and the director both barrels, and I weren't nice about it. But you can imagine my stance on it. So we literally got nothing off it. We do a few events. We do like the London Property Investor Show. Yeah. We sponsor the HMO Awards with Van. Yeah. And like, it's great, but we're almost just going in front of our own customers again. We use it as a bit of a social calendar, really. Take some new products, take some goodies, tape measures or whatever, and it's nice to be in a room, especially like the awards there. We know sort of 50-60% of the people, so you just think it's like we're having a chat now. It's just just have a catch up, have a few beers, book into a hotel, sleep off the hangover, and go back home the day after. And like the awards, is it Property Investor Awards down in London, Excel? Yeah, I think it's one. We've done that a few times, and it costs a couple of grand. It's not massive amounts, and then you just get loads of work down south. And obviously we're in the north, and with Dog and I, as you know, we deliver nationwide, so it's not an issue. But when it comes in summer, you're a bit like, is it coming from the show? Is it not? And people see it on social media. But I think that like the next sort of 6-12 months, we're going to concentrate on like Scotland and north of us.
Straight the north.
Yeah, there's a huge market up there, and 90% of our work is sort of south of Birmingham. In an ideal world, we'd up sticks and move to Birmingham, but I don't think Lisa would do that.
So let's talk about Lisa.
Yep.
So your lovely wife Lisa, when I first came across you guys, she was actually working in Selfridges, wasn't she, from memory?
Yeah, she was working for L'Oreal at the time.
Yeah, and I remember her kind of like, we just struck it like straight away. It's got on with each other really well. She was doing a bit of admin for you, wasn't she, in the office? And I remember her talking to me about, shall I leave Selfridges? Shall I go in the business with Dale? What do you think? What shall I do? And obviously she did. She jumped ship. And I think that's, I don't know, you tell me, it looks like it was part of the real kind of like big, growth for the business, was Lisa coming on board and being your other half in business and personally as well. Like, how's that gone? How is it being together in the business?
Do you know what? We was both a bit dubious. So we decided that when we got married in October 2018, I think that's right. I'll get a shout out if it's not. We went on a little honeymoon to Italy, a little mini moon because we had Rex. And then she started the business straight away then. And what it did initially is just took a big weight off my shoulders because at the time there was only 6 staff. I was still doing deliveries. So in the morning, me and Lynchy, we'd get in the van. I'd drive all the way wherever I was going, so Southampton, wherever. We'd do the installing. He would then drive all the way back, but while he's driving back, I had a little table in the van, laptop, phone at the side, and doing quotes and trying to do everything. Get back, reload for the day after. Like we laugh about it now. And I think one week we'd done like 97 hours, something ridiculous, and we just had Saturday off. Then we had to start Sunday because it was just. But then taking Lisa on in the office, she just took all that admin away. And then you could start to see holes in the business where I was just being a busy idiot. So it took a bit of a step. I still stayed on the road for a good 12 months, but actually then we took on another driver. So Lynch had a team, I had a team, and it just sort of I had then more time to go to all the property events at night, the local events. And we've not done them for years, to be fair. We've done 1 or 2, but used to sponsor. I use that term. Used to support Nikki Talbot over in Blackpool when she run I think it was Progressive one that. But yeah, she's always been a great customer. So we'd go over there once a month. But when Lisa took over the office, I could go and do more then. Then we could go organic. She could take over social media, and it was just it was a big pressure off me. It's and at the time it was just like, I'll just replace your wage what you're on, and then we'll see where we go. And then like it weren't even baby steps, or not quite giant steps, but somewhere in between, like decent size steps, month on, month out. And then we were at the time where we had 2 full-time delivery teams on the road, like every single day. And then we just sort of grew to another staff member. Jem came along then. Then we put another team on the road. But meanwhile, we still got all doing the sofas in the background for customers. So yeah, it was really good. But I always try not to spend too much time in the office where Lisa is, because obviously we see each other at home. I was always worried about how does that work.
Yeah, the dynamics.
We don't argue. We generally don't argue. We might tell each other where to go every now and then, but it's just and that's it. I mean, we don't. There's no sort of lengthy debates or screaming. It's and I didn't know whether that would change when she came in, and I did say, if it doesn't work for the sake of who we are, then you go and do something else. And we've never even contemplated that, to be fair. It's she manages the office. She's got some good sales teams in there. The ops managers in the office, and if I am in, I'll either be on the shop floor or I've got my own office at the back where I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. I think as well, giving free rein to management, that's helped, to Lisa and to Dave and Jem and Lynch, because Lynch now is like a transport manager, really.
Transport guru.
Just shouts everyone when they get in. Where's the donut back in the drill bag? So yeah, and we had a bit of a sit down, maybe being the last year, just sort of stop coming to me with your shit. just deal with it, and it will probably the best thing we do. And it's like any running business, not everything's going to be done the same way you would do it necessarily. But I said, as long as we're not doing anything too silly, then I'll run with your decision. So yeah, I very, very rarely get bothered with the menial stuff now.
The day-to-day,
just the day-to-day. I don't need to know if we need more handles or we need some screws. It's just they just deal with it. And we've actually won quite a few like really, really big contracts, sort of stuff we wouldn't expect normally to do. And we just said, we can do it. And so far we've pulled it off like gold star standard. It's just, So we've bought bigger trucks. We're running a fleet of trucks now instead of vans. We still obviously got a lot of vans. So I'm concentrating on the bigger, more commercial side of the business.
That was going to be my next question. So from working like nearly 100 hours a week, driving, working in the van, David at the side of you, to like now, like what does your day to day look like now the business is where it's at?
Um, I'd love to sit here and say I do 2 hours a week and then go and play golf, but that'd send me over the edge, and I don't like golf. So, I could think of anything worse. So yeah, I started to get back into the gym a bit. I had not so much a health scare about 3 years ago. I was just feeling really crap all the time, so I took myself to the docs, and he just said your BP's through the roof, lose some weight, and sort your head out basically. So yeah, I go to the gym a couple of times a week now with a PT. That's just at 9 o'clock, so I'll wake up at normal time, do a few emails, go to the gym, get in work for sort of 10:30, and then just do whatever I need to do. Go and pick Rex up from school, taking BMX in. I'm always local, so I can be. I mean, this week from tomorrow onwards, I'm down in Southampton all week because we're a bit short-handed for the big jobs we've got on. We had one guy leave, but we've got two new starts, but they're not starting for a week or two.
Okay.
But I quite enjoy doing that. Getting back out on with the lads, get a feel for how they're working. So yeah, it's still fully within the business. Obviously, got the rentals. Got a leak to go and sort out later, I think.
You know what? Why does property always keep it real? Like literally, we had an incident last week. I won't go into it in too much detail in one of the big student houses, and it was like the most grounding incident to do with 14 bins. And I'm like, yeah, people think that I float around on horseback, living my best life, but this is the reality of what's got to be sorted as well. It always just brings you back down to earth. Obviously, you know, coming into this year, we've got a lot of lovely changes coming in the property development world in terms of like rental reform and legislation changes and stuff like that. Are you feeling a change in your customer buying like patterns? Are you hearing anything? Like, has the vibe changed? Are you feeling it yet?
No, I haven't. And I'll be really honest. I think you're either in property for a business or you're just messing about at it. And I think you need to decide that early on.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got a few properties, haven't we? So it is a business. It doesn't always make loads of money, like they tell you it does. And sometimes it's a pain in the ass, but that's it. It's a long-term investment. And if you run it like a business, like there's loads of changes coming. There's more changes for me personally within the landlord or the Pegasus group as it's under. With the national insurance, my rent's gone up. So I'm 80 grand a year out of pocket on that. But it's a business, and I think there's a lot of noise on social media. Is oh my god, rental reform bill, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I genuinely have the attitude, so what? It's a business. Run it like one or sell up, someone will buy it. It's quite blasé, but I make no apologies for that. It just is what it is. I've spoken to loads of like some of our bigger clients who do like 3 or 4 HMOs a month with us. They come up in these conference room I'm sat now, and we talk to them about it, and they're just like, it is what it is. We just have to navigate around it. The biggest thing is if they bring, there's rumours of EPCB or C, isn't it a B? I think. Like terraced houses in the north, stone houses ain't getting that without spending fortunes on it. And I won't be spending fortunes on my stone terrace. So if that comes in, I'll just sell them, or there's a way around it. It just is what it is. But that's just, I don't sort of go down a rabbit hole of sort of worrying about things. The next government might change everything again.
Yeah.
I think you just have to find the best way to navigate around it. And be true to yourself. Is it a business or is it a hobby? It's people say but rents all go up, and if they do, don't they? I always try and be fair with everything we do. My rents are really, really reasonable. They're definitely not at the top of the market. And again, people might say that's silly. You should milk it for all it's got. But actually, I don't want my tenants living in my houses just paying the rent and having to sit in a room or the 2 or 3 bed house, not having any money to do anything because most of my mortgages are still fairly low. And we've got decent loan to value, but we've always run it, like I said, as a business. It is going to hurt. Of course, it's going to hurt, but yeah, it's the people we're speaking to. Don't get me wrong, there's not been in-depth conversations, but they're all pretty much of the same stamp. We can't change it. So we either work around it or we jump ship. And so far, I've not seen anyone like sort of saying I'm selling everything. There's no sort of. I don't think there's any knee-jerk reaction until they actually announce exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And it might be 3 or 4 years before it even comes in.
Yeah.
And like buying trends, not really, no. The one trend we have noticed this last 12 months is people are going bigger. Our average HMO used to be a 5-bed, and now they're 7, 8, 9. We've
That's
got
to do with valuations, though, isn't it? I would assume.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. And bigger buildings like the pubs are still fairly cheap to buy into, aren't they? And then we're doing a lot, I alluded to before, a lot of bigger stuff. We've got like universities approaching us. We do a lot for big universities now. Coming into the summer periods, it's got like a 99-bed one down in Southampton that the kitchens go tomorrow because we've made all the kitchens for them as well.
Oh, amazing.
So the kitchens go tomorrow, then the bedroom furniture follows. So everything's just getting bigger. But equally, it's to do those bigger jobs. I've just point blank said I'd rather not do the bigger jobs if our regular bread and butter customers are not getting what they want. As long as we keep them within that 2 or 3 week lead time, then we can manage that. And that's part of the fleet expansion we've done, just put bigger vehicles on the road. So one vehicle could take everything down, and then we'll have a delivery team just down there on their own all week. So put them in a nice hotel, give them a few quid for a few beers at night.
What? No mattresses in the back of vans?
No.
That's just trades.
If it was me, I'd be doing that. Too tight. But yeah, I'm not too concerned about what's going to happen. I might have to eat my words next year, but yeah, we'll see. It's just life, isn't it? Got to get on with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. My next question for you, actually, Dale, was going to be, so what's next for Landlord Furniture Co? But you kind of like touched on it there, that like the PBSA market's been calling, like projects are getting bigger. Like, do you have any other new things in the pipeline that you want to share with us, or things coming up?
We'll be launching some new lines probably the end of summer. We're restricted with board suppliers, but we'll be getting those before most other companies will. Well, before any of our competitors, put it that way. And then we just sort of we grow organically anyway. So we do set targets, but we are going to start sort of getting into the bigger jobs, like the 200-300 bed sort of schemes. Been asked to quote quite a few. We're pretty confident we know how we can execute that now. But we're going to basically recruit for the commercial side and have a commercial sort of team. So we just, like LFC just runs as it is for our our bread and butter day-to-day clients.
Yeah.
Because I think for some of the bigger companies in our space have sort of reached for the skies. And now they're kind of looking over the shoulders like, shit, we shouldn't have left that, because it is, one of the bigger ones, which most people haven't heard of, funny enough. We had a client who he'd rung them because he'd seen a product on the website and it was a 6-bed HMO. And they basically said, we don't really do things that small. I was just like, right. But I think because the money at the top end of the market seems to be disappearing, like, you build to rent sort of larger schemes. I know a few people that are investing in them, and they've sort of sat down with us, been having a beer and bit of beer and a chat. They've kind of said that it's slowing down. It's not slowed right down, but it is slowing down because the appetite in the market and what's happening government wise and around the world. So we're kind of taking that sort of cream in the middle and just doing what we do, really. Doing what we do.
And what I'm taking from that is that you're super mindful to look after that kind of bread and butter product, that core customer that you built the business from.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a meeting the other week, like a full team meeting, and I'm and Lisa's adamant that never gets lost. It's almost like chasing that shiny penny because the bigger jobs, on paper there's a lot more profit, but the logistics of it, the manufacturing side. Like for the last 2 weeks, on the manufacturing side, we've been 24 hours to get all these kitchens done. And yeah, it to be fair, not loads in it, but it's worth doing. But we've also
volume.
got a lot of other customers that are expecting the deliveries this week and next week. And rather than we try our very best not to move any. I can't remember the last time we moved an order, to be fair. And if it is, it's because something's been mismanufactured or we can't get the board. But I don't think we've done anything like that for the last 12 months. So yeah, they're the people that built us. They've been loyal to us like yourselves. There's literally hundreds of Jades that do a HML come back and come back again. So we do try our very best as a business to sort of look after them. So that's why we decided, well, how do we do it? I said, well, let's take a punt. So spent an obscene amount of money on trucks.
You love spending money on vehicles. That's your golf.
yeah, probably cheaper than golf. So yeah, we're doing that. We've got one Arctic, got another 18-ton coming.
No messing.
And yeah, we're just going to do it like that. Yeah.
Wicked. So, if somebody's sat there listening to this and they're thinking about starting their own business, like, what's the one bit of advice that you would share with them from your own learnings?
That's a good question. Keep at it.
Yeah,
definitely keep at it. Don't listen to the noise. And I do. You find that the people that not necessarily closest to the people that you speak to the most can be quite negative about what you're doing, and it's not as lonely as you think. Just reach out, speak to different people, get on forums, message me. I'm not bothered. Just do. It's
you got nothing on.
It was. It can be lonely, but there's that old cliche. There's no success if it's easy, and it will always come. It will always come. It's I think that's the only advice I can really give, and just don't listen to the noise because there's a lot of it. There's a lot of negativity.
There is. Yeah, and in the time that you got, you really saw that big growth from 2017. The noise has just got louder and louder and louder, and I think online and stuff. So it's about choosing it. Do you know what, Dale? I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you'd make an incredible business mentor.
Oh, thank you.
I really do think that, if one day you feel like doing that, then you should absolutely do it, because I think that what working with you on a one-to-one someone would get would be insane. So yeah, that's just kind of some feedback, some food for thought from me. So if people want to kind of connect with you, see your business, what's the best place for them to find you?
On the website or Landlord Furniture Co. landlordfurnitureco.co.uk
and Instagram as well, obviously, and on the gram. But no, Dale, listen, thank you so much for your time today and for coming on the pod. But bigger than that, thank you for sponsoring the pod over the past year, because in our industry there is not many female-led businesses in particular, and brands. So for a juggernaut business like you to get behind what I'm doing, I really genuinely do really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And
you're welcome.
It has been absolutely wonderful watching you and Lisa navigate the business and grow it. And I can remember when I first came to that insane showroom that you've got in Oldham that you're sat in now, and I walked in and I was like, oh my God, because not only is the showroom so aspirational and design led and themed and just awesome, when you open the doors to the warehouse, I was like, Jesus Christ, it's this ginormous. And how many square foot is the warehouse alone? It's huge, isn't it?
Yes, 16,000 plus mezzanine. About 20.
Yeah, I was so impressed, and you've done that so steadily, so wonderfully over the years. So huge congratulations to you both. And I promise next time I'll come, I'll definitely be stealing another item, because I stole a black and white vase from you, didn't I?
Yeah, still remember, running across the car park.
Yeah. And it takes pride of place in our hallway. So thank you so much. But Dale, listen, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see what you get. Furniture Co. That's a wrap for another episode of the B-Space podcast. I've been your host, Jade McNeil, property developer, mentor, and business coach. Don't forget to subscribe on your favourite platforms. And until next time, remember, don't believe the hype and always keep it real.